Olatilo as he graciously steps into the 7th floor. Uh, he's going to be 70 in about 4 or 5 days, and it's just good to give glory, to God. He's somebody that I've really learned a lot from. Most importantly, hard work. His tenacity, his love for the job. He eats, he breathes, he sleeps, journalism. And I think I've taken that trait into my own personal life to just be obsessed with whatever it is. So on your 70th birthday, Dad, I wish you many more years in good health and wealth. Keep being the great man that you are. You are a national treasure. The name the brand you've been able to build for yourself, is a testament to your tenacity, to your doggedness. Come rain, come shine, you keep going, you keep moving forward, and it's something to admire. So thank you very much again, Dad. Thank you for everything you do for the family. We pray that this new age would bring everything that you've prayed unto God for. We love you very much. Thank you again. God bless.
Yes, my name is Councillor Lady Fumi Ademiloa. I am the founder of the Good Samaritan Foundation, a charity based in the UK. I have intentionally rescheduled my journey just so I'm able to be a part of Prince Bisi Olatilo's birthday. And I want to seize this opportunity to say happy birthday, Uncle. I wish you long life and prosperity, and may you live long to eat the fruit of your labor. And I want to say happy anniversary to your lovely wife, Chief Mrs. Folashade Olatilo. I wish you all the best, Uncle. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I wish him all the best. Long life and prosperity. Sound health in the mighty name of Jesus. I pray for him. He'll be growing from grace to grace to grace to grace to grace and to greater grace in the mighty name of Jesus. There are many memorables, if that is the case, many, but I thank God.
Thank you very much.
God took control of everything.
The final countdown begins. Just 3 days to the grand celebration of Prince Bisi Olatilo at 50 and BOS at 25. The stage is set, the drums are rolling, and the spotlight is shifting to Lagos as Nigeria prepares a landmark celebration like no other. Just 3 days to go until Prince Bisi Olatilo's 50th anniversary as a broadcaster and the 25th anniversary of the Bisi Olatilo Show, BOS, a cultural powerhouse and multilingual media phenomenon that has redefined event broadcasting in Nigeria and beyond. On Tuesday, May 13th, 2025, all roads will lead to Muson Center, Onikon, Lagos, for this once-in-a-generation event where legends, royalty, statesmen, captains of industry, and leading media voices will converge to honor a man whose voice has shaped the nation's airwaves for 5 decades. The highlights await. Keynote reflections. Former Governor of Cross River State, Mr. Donald Duke, CON, will set the tone for the celebration with an insightful keynote address on the evolution and power of the Bisi Olatilo Show. Media and New Generation Panel. A powerful panel discussion themed The New Media and the Future of Broadcasting will bring together dynamic Gen Z and millennial voices to chart a course for tomorrow's media in the spirit of BOS's visionary legacy. Unveiling of the Bisi Olatilo Foundation, BOF. A major highlight of the day will be the official launch of the Bisi Olatilo Foundation, an initiative dedicated to empowering young talents, promoting education, and advancing media excellence. The foundation will be launched by Chief Launcher and Benefactor, Sir Kessington Adebutu, CFR, a pillar of support to Prince Bisi Olatilo's inspiring journey. The prestigious BOS Awards ceremony. The crowning moment of the day will be the Grand BOS Awards, recognizing excellence in leadership, business, media, and public service. Topping the list of honorees are President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and Senator Oluremi Tinubu, CON, First Lady of Nigeria, to be decorated with the Grand BOS Awards for exemplary national service. Governors of Lagos, Bayelsa, Enugu, Ekiti, Delta, Kano, and Akwa Ibom states for transformational leadership. Titans of industry Alhaji Aliko Dangote, GCON, and Alhaji Dr. Abdusamad Rabiu, recipients of the BOS Mega Awards. Dame Dr. Adora Umoji, OON, GMD and CEO of Zenith Bank, BOS Banker of the Year, and Wema Bank PLC, celebrating 80 years, BOS Bank of the Year. Outstanding entrepreneurs like Barrister Uju Ifejika, OFR, Dr. Mrs. Nike Akonde, CON, Alhaji Razak Okoya, CON, and Prince Samuel Adedoyin will receive the BOS Entrepreneur and All-Time Supporters Awards. Saluting media icons. The BOS Awards will also pay tribute to trailblazing figures in Nigeria's media industry. Senator Ben Murray Bruce, Silverbird TV, Dr. John Momo, OON, Channels TV, Prince Nduka Obaigbena, CON, Arise News, High Chief Raymond Dokwesi, founder of Dar Communications, AIT and Ray Power, will be posthumously honored as the pathfinder of private broadcasting in Nigeria. Distinguished guests of honor expected at the elite gathering are Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, former President of Nigeria and special guest of honor. Sir Kesentin Adebutu, CFR, Chief Launcher and Benefactor of the Biscon Foundation. Senator Major General Ike Nwachukwu, retired, Chairman of the day. The ceremony will be steeped in royal grandeur with the presence of His Royal Majesty Obadeyeye Enitan Ogunwusi, CFR, Ojaja II, the Oni of Ife. His Royal Highness Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero, Emir of Kano, serving as the Royal Fathers of the day. His Royal Majesty Oba Adedapo Adewale Tejuosho, CON, Karunwi III, Oshile of Okeono Egbaland, and His Royal Majesty Oba Adedotunare Mubadebo, CFR, the Alake and paramount ruler of Egbaland. With the countdown officially on, excitement is at fever pitch. The journey of a man, the evolution of a show, and the power of a legacy. Prince Biscon at 50 and BOS at 25 promises to be a celebration of excellence, impact, and enduring influence. May 13th, 2025 at the Shell Hall of Muson Center, Onikon, Lagos. Save the date. Be there. Witness history.
Get ready. BJ Sax Life 2025. Join us at Echo Hotels and Suites for an unforgettable experience.
I am fire. I am light. I am glory. Give me chance, oh, I want to praise my God. Give me chance, oh, I want to praise my God. You are the most I can shama. Ale alusanu wa. Imake kimashadua.
You do not lie. You do not fail. What is hard for you to do? It doesn't exist.
What a marvelous God! What a powerful God! He has done marvelous things for me.
Oh yeah, wo mi etu mi wo. Ẹwà Jésù bẹ lára mi. Ó dá mi láwòrán ara rẹ̀. Èmi lọmọ tó ń sọ.
Okay, let's go.
Are you ready? We are not joking when we say Koson Week 2025 will be stupendous. Yes, Nigeria will rise again. Fasten your seatbelts. Koson Week 2025 May 25 to May 31.
Tuesday, 13th May 2025, the date for High Prince Biscon, Nigeria's multilingual broadcasting doyen's Jubilee Anniversary celebration in broadcasting, and 25 years of the Biscon Show, BOS. The event begins on a prayerful note by UK-based founder Kingdom Power Ministries, Apostle Boyega Shita, and ministration by Apostle Dr. Joseph Wole Oladinu. The chairman of the event is Major General Ikenwachuku, retired. The guest of honor is Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, and the chief launcher of the Biscon Foundation, BOF, is Sir Kessentin Adebutu, CFR. The royal father of the day, His Imperial Majesty, Oba Dr. Babatunde Eniton Ogunwusi, CFR, or Jaja II, the Oni of Ife, and His Royal Highness Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero, the esteemed Emir of Kano. Mr. Donald Duke, CON. The highlight of the event will be the presentation of the prestigious Grand BOS Awards to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and Senator Oluremi Tinubu, CON. BOS Awards will also be presented to the governors of Lagos, Bayelsa, Enugu, Ekiti, Delta, Kano, and Akwa Ibom State. Also on the BOS Mega Award list are Alhaji Aliko Dangote, GCON, and Alhaji Dr. Abdusamad Rabiu of Bua Group. BOS Awards will also be presented to the following industry players: Mr. Tony Elumelu, CFR, FCT Minister, Barrister Chief Nyesom Wike, Imo State Governor, Senator Hope Uzodinma, and Managing Director and CEO of NDDC, Dr. Samuel Ogbuku. BOS Banker of the Year Award goes to Dame Dr. Adora Umoji, OON. The Bank of the Year is Wema Bank PLC. BOS Entrepreneur of the Year is Barrister Mrs. Uju Ifejika, OFR. Dr. Mrs. Nike Akonde, CON. Alhaji Razak Okoya, CON. And Prince Samuel Adedoyin will bag BOS All-Time Supporters Awards. BOS Awards to Outstanding Players in Nigeria's media industry will be bagged by Senator Ben Murray Bruce of Silverbird Television, Dr. John Momo, OON, and Prince Nduka Obaigbena, CON. High Chief Raymond Dokbesi, owners of AIT and Ray Power, the pathfinder of private radio and television broadcasting in Nigeria. The award will be given to him posthumously. Tuesday, 13th May 2025, Prince Biscon double-header event at Muson Center, Lagos at 11 a.m.
What you have to do when you're doing that is to do what you call audience analysis. In other words, before you go to address any group of people, you have to do some background work on who they are. So that when you're speaking, you know you're using the right terms, the right technologies, and you're using the right words that will be understandable to them. If you don't do that, then your presentation falls flat. What does that have to do with this? If those who govern do not do their audience research, they are going to, that is, if they don't know who they are governing and what the aspirations of those people are and what their immediate thoughts and attitudes are, then they are governing above them. They're not governing them. And they're not likely to be effective governors. So leading from the streets is taking us back to that before you can be an effective governor or administrator of any sort, you have to know those you are leading. And that is why we're here today, to hear some of the thoughts Magnus himself has personified in all his writings from 1999 to 2019. 20 years. Let's put our hands together for this young man who never gives up. I'll tell you about Magnus later, because we actually trotted a lot of the terrain of this country together. Sometimes in the midnight, I remember the time we went to Daura to do a story on the Kusugu well while we were doing Newsline, and we could not talk to the emir until 10 o'clock in the night because he was resting. And at 10 o'clock we did the interview, we finished at 12 midnight and started going back to Kaduna. By 4:30 in the morning, the car ran out of petrol. There was petrol shortage. And we're just in the middle of nowhere. And I don't want to tell you how we got out of that situation. We eventually got to Kaduna at 7:30 in the morning. And 2 days ago, I was just wondering, can you still do that today in Nigeria? Can you? Anyway, and Magnus was one of the first people to actually have a helicopter crash. Also during the Newsline, but that's a story for another day.
I'm the daughter of the prestigious Mr. Magnus Onibe. My name is Chimamanda Onibe, and I'm here to sing the national anthem. So I just want us shortly to give a round of applause for ourselves, because this is such a beautiful sight. We're all legends, we're all amazing people, and we've all done great justice to this nation. So now the saxophone can join me. Sure? Okay. Arise, O compact rise, Nigeria's call obey, to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and mind, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. Second album.
Soon. And of course, the youth that are here, let me recognize you and value you. And a lot of people here remember when they were young, and when we were youth, even now, of course, I think we've all got a bit of age, in age, so we recognize you. Then I also recognize everyone, ladies and gentlemen. So as chairman, I greet and welcome you all to this auspicious occasion. Today we are gathered here to celebrate the launch of a book that I believe holds profound significance for our nation, for our nation's intellectual and political discourse. The book, Leading from the Streets, Media Interventions by a Public Intellectual, 1999 to 2019. And of course, authored by none other than the great Magnus Onibe. He was young then. He was young when I used to remember young. And when I saw him today, he seemed to have grown a little taller. And certainly not the very vibrant young man that I used to know him. But it is nice really meeting him today. So I'm indeed delighted to serve as the chairman for this auspicious event. and to introduce a work that delves deep into the core issues that define Nigeria's socio-economic and political landscape. In the book, Leading from the Streets, Media Interventions by a Public Interest Intellectual, 1999 to 2019. Magnus Olive brings to the fore critical topics ranging from democracy and governance to business and economy, from corruption and graft to our nation's relations with Africa and the global community. His insightful analysis and proposed solutions offer valuable guidance to policymakers and serve as a catalyst for informed debate and discussions. What sets this book apart from others is Magnus Olive's passionate commitment to inclusivity and the amplification of voices that often go unheard. This book encourages every Nigerian to rethink our approach to governance, leadership, followership, and nation building, urging us to embrace a more inclusive and collaborative approach to addressing our nation's challenges, whether we are in or out of government. As someone who had the privilege to serve as head of state and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I can attest to the importance of listening to the pulse of the people when crafting policies. I can assure you, in my government, I used to encourage the very young civil servant who probably brought the permanent secretaries papers, legal papers. I would ask them to tell me whether they agree with some of the policies that we are considering. And I said, you can say anything if you disagree with your permanent secretary. And I can assure you nothing will happen to you because they know that government have said that you should say your view, which probably would help in our discussions. And of course, those young people, I can assure you, none of them have the courage to stand up to speak. At least they will always agree with the views of their in the process. So public intellectuals like Magnus Olive play a crucial role in distilling the concerns of ordinary citizens and offering invaluable advice to leaders. Drawing from his rich and diverse work experience in broadcasting, insurance, banking, and public service, Magnus Olive offers a unique perspective that combines practical insights with a deep understanding of Nigeria's complex challenges. His insightful contribution and some ideas offer valuable possible solutions to many of our nation's most pressing challenges. As we navigate the challenges and opportunities of our nation's development, the wisdom and insight contained in leading from the street serve as a valuable resource for leaders, policymakers, scholars, and concerned citizens alike. The challenges facing our nations are numerous, but with the help of insightful work like leading from the street and some of the various beautiful reports that we get from our journalists, whether you agree with them or not, the leaders have valuable resources to guide them in navigating the ship of state towards unity, peace, economic prosperity, and a brighter future for all Nigerians. I congratulate Magnus Onyibe on this remarkable achievement and commend him for his dedication to promoting informed dialogue and debate. I wholeheartedly recommend leading from the street to everyone gathered here today and to all who are committed to the progress and prosperity of our great nation, Nigeria. So all of you here, yes, you have the chance to really say your piece. Let us hear it. Let the government, let those in authority take a look at it and really give it due consideration in their deliberations. In closing, I want to thank you all, everyone that is here, for joining us in celebrating the launch of this important resource book. I invite you all to engage with the ideas and insights presented by Magnus Onyibe and to join the conversation about how we can work together to build a better Nigeria for all.
When you are a public intellectual, you have the whole world ahead of you. You can speak on every subject with authority. You are not an ordinary jack of all trades. You are a master of all. And I think, the very many chapters in this book will reflect that. The second thing is the allegory of the street. Now, many people think of the street in diverse terms. We have street people and so on. But the street has very valuable significances. And I'll just tell you about two of them. One is the street never forgets. Because everyone who walks on the street leaves his memory and his legacy in the sands of time. So the street is a documentarist. So the street, is there forever. So if you want to have one peep into this book of over 540 pages, it is that it documents, all the things that have happened, the way the street is built. The second is that the street is also a symbolic parliament. Those of us who go to street vendors know that the kinds of animated discussions and debates we have, especially for those of us who are free readers, would make you want to, answer the roll call every day. So there are people who habitually go to the streets to vendors, and they are there. So this is a street parliament, and it's fantastic, to have that. It means that you can have people who maybe outside of the mainstream, but have found a resonance for themselves, and the relevance is that they contribute. They have civic engagement. So the street is very important. But think of the street also as a site of protest. So we've had street protests. And many of the things that have changed countries, societies, communities have come from the streets. So what's about leading from the streets is precisely that point. And I think the author himself has done well to set a framework, because he says, even from all that he has written, the point is there has to be a feedback process. And that feedback is what drives policy and drives its implementation. And therefore there's an adjustment, instrument in what he's doing, which will drive governance as a whole. And this governance not only domestic, it's also global. So he has the if you like, he has the liberty as a public intellectual to, as Chief Biscon would have said, I write what I like. And you have written what you like, which is good for you. And that's where we are all gathered here. This is a book of 7 chapters, even though it's not so very clear whether they are chapters or parts. Because there is part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. It's a compilation of 77 articles out of the over 177. They must be very significant for you. And part of what Frame said at the beginning is to say there is a dissonance between what exists out there in the streets now, so to speak, and what government and government. And there has to be a bringing back in through feedback. And you're able to say that you say, think of Nigeria, and you have to transform, think of that. And that happened. We are happy. So it means that is good. Second, you say you had always advocated for a review of the priority public agenda set by the Buhari government, which had corruption first, and economy second, and so on and so on. You said you cannot fight corruption if you don't have a robust economy. So the thing to do is put the economy first. And that also happened in Buhari's second term. So it means that government has always taken you seriously. And this is what we have heard from that young man. You've been there. I see that today you are entering into a new terrain, Tinubu, what? There is nothing Magnus Oyibe cannot do. And as they say, what he hasn't done does not exist. So it's just as well. But quite frankly, I have gone back to read all of these pages. I didn't miss one at all. And as a book of public records, a document, it's a rich resource book that will be a reference material for all times. Now, it's almost for page 99, where, Magnus, in one of those articles, is talking about Buhari and Obasanjo in their first coming, and he says, he's a master of the comparative method, compares Bush and Obasanjo, compares this and that and that. But in at least 3 of those essays, he goes back to comparing Obasanjo and Buhari. And now on page 99, he says that Buhari was bypassed, because he expected to be made the Chief of General Staff. Now, that is not accurate. The position was Chief of Staff, Supreme Headquarters. Okay, so that's page 99, and that's about the only thing. I found 2 other dots, but otherwise, as J.K. Randall says in his afterwords, it's an elegant book, elegantly written, beautiful language, the expressions very articulate, and even the logic you can see of presentations. So fantastic. Now, what I like about the book is that you will read it and get to know so many things, and get to be reminded of so many things you could easily have forgotten. Many of them you will find there. So don't look at the period only for 20 years. It's a book that is timeless. It talks about all of those things. You will find them there. thing is that when I finished reading, I went through it again and I said, some of those articles in 2002, some of those articles in 2005, some of those articles in 2011, it's as if he was still talking about the same country. Today, I read the chapter on the Mayfield, and all that he did, and all of those reforms. You even say he went into the agri sector, something that CBN hadn't done before. And you were saying we should sing his praises at that time, which was good. And I'm relating that to our present juncture. And I'm saying maybe this Magnus Onibe is the man who sees tomorrow. But it just tells you that the more things change, the more they remain the same. So, Mr. Governor, what to do? All of these people who are here, who know what is wrong and what to do, put all of them in detention. And none leaves this place until they tell us what to do. That's fantastic. And you think that that is one of the models we should use. And I'm sure that in the discussion of our current travails, even in the economy, you would recommend that we detain all of our eggheads in the finance sector, in the economy, and everywhere, and say, tell us what is wrong. But then you go ahead to say, we should go and look at the Nobel laureates in economics, especially John Stiglitz. And I'm happy that J.K. Randall, who wrote the afterword, of that particular part, I think it's part 3, says in his commentary that it's a little contradictory. That you're looking for a homegrown model where you say detain people, and yet you're saying go and bring all of these people from outside. Now I say this because in many of the articles, very incisive, very insightful, wonderful things, they show a lot of research that goes into the things that you do. But you seem to be so globalist that you always think the answers can be found from outside. But even sometimes you strike the right course in doing that. Now take the essay on our beloved former First Lady, Mama Peace. You say, sadly she was in Germany and she was not well. But as a people, we were never told what was wrong. And therefore, for a people that in Bendel we say we have sorry heart, For people that are so sorry-hearted, we didn't know, and therefore we didn't, pray for her enough. Whereas in other countries, when people that are public figures tell what their health statuses are, people empathize, they pray for them. And you even reminded us that there was a big word we learned, when Babangida was president, radiculopathy. Because the information minister then informed us, that our president, I think it was the great man, not John Momo, not Tony Momo. This was the guy, Alex, who told us this is what is wrong with the president. He's in hospital in Germany. Remember him in your prayers. And we were praying for him. Which is good. And you were saying that's how it should be. Or even the case of the Pope that decided to hand in the Torah. To say, look, I would leave office. I'm not jumping ship, but I'm going to, I've paid my dues, somebody else has to come. And you were saying, when are we going to begin to resign? When are we going to begin to learn to do things that will make our humanity matter? If you are no longer able to, carry on, leave. And live with dignity. You cited the example of Nelson Mandela as the man who has done it here. Fantastic. So all of those things show us how very comparative you are in the knowledge that you are transferring to us. And what haven't you talked about? So you take the banking sector, for instance. And you say all of those things about alerts that we receive, even the things that they are doing again now, we will never know because there is a flawed strategic communication. You can tell because you were there. And one of the guys he likes to use to illustrate this point is Ruben Abati. Now, I was struck that Ruben Abati had actually castigated our young people that long ago to say they were idle. And we think that youth being idle is something that, was the patent of our past president, if you know what I mean. Now, but this is Ruben Abati. And you use Ruben many other times. Like, for instance, to exercise the demons in Asoma that Aisha Buhari had to do. And he talked about how Aisha then said, "Look, I'm not going to keep quiet. The guys that are destroying this place are not demonic, we know." And she used very, very strong analysis. And then he talked about George Pitts and how he handled the case. I see that, James Olanife for His Excellency is here. And George Pitts, he was saying, there's a lot that George Pitts has to learn. Okay, and that's good. Or when he talked about free capitalism from Tony Llewellyn, or he talked about Africa's richest man, Dangote, or he talked about, Mike Adenuga. He talked about everyone. And you said these are the profiles of leadership and the lessons to be learned from them. I enjoyed all of them. If I talk as if I am a pseudo-author, or that, I deputized for him in the compilation of one of those articles, it must be to let you know that I thoroughly enjoyed reading all of the 548 plus pages of this book. I thought, that is something that, represents a genre of scholarship that is not so very well known. Nearly 20 years ago, I did a similar review for Professor Godwin Sobolo, who had a compilation of his articles in the Guardian, and this was excellent. So, but I'm glad again to say Fletcher School of Diplomacy under 4. And therefore, the intricacies, and those right there, you say the global, the international, the foreign is an extension of the domestic. You have been strong on how Nigeria can make all of it. You say Nigerians should not demarket themselves. The president of our country should not be the one demarketing his country. So, for instance, you were able to applaud President Buhari when he visited the United States of America and disagreed with many of those things. And by the way, you said that one of those secretaries of state in America said Nigeria was given a loan of 9.1 billion US dollars, and that the generals converted it into corrupt use. He corrected it. And it was actually 2 points. Somewhere along the line, one would suspect that you have some sympathies that you couldn't have. But that's fine. It's your turf. It's your street. Fire from every cylinder and do whatever you want to do. But all said and put together. This is a book that I think we've all been waiting for. You should read it, become wiser, become more knowledgeable, and now know that read can construct reality, can construct policy, and can construct policy implementation. This is feedback time. Fantastic book. Thank you.
My goodness. Professor Egosa Osagai. I think your name. My goodness. Are you a professional reviewer? I mean, do you do this as a... I'm guessing even the thought before you think is the happiest person in this auditorium today. Magnus? Any other guests? Well, Magnus will come after me. About 7 of my former students in this auditorium. Starting with
Mahir Olabuju, I salute you. The MC Patrick Oke, well done. My dear sister, Ruth Benevesia, I thank you a very particular Mass 101. Thank you. I have Femi Additional, who was very particular about mass media and national security in my class. I thank you. I have Magnus Oyuge himself, who was a brilliant scholar in 101 and mass 182 class. I also have, he has gone, although he came into Unida before I joined University of Lagos. That's Excellency Sheikh Oshoba. I salute you. What do you want me to say about Magnus? I'm so happy today that after getting our degree in Unilag, he didn't go out to Alaba market and be selling spare parts. He has gone out to write and to explore what he has been taught on Unilag. I congratulate you. What do you want me to say about the book? I simply say I concur with the sentiments expressed by the reviewer, Professor Gosa Osakiai. I thank you. I just want us to know that the 77 articles that were selected for this book is, in my own judgment, are commendable out of the 548 pages. So, Magnus, in my judgment, when you pick up 77 articles out of 1,001, I think you deserve, before you go, sir, Magnus, 77 articles, I think in my judgment and with the cooperation of the audience, are those who will ask me to do what? We need to give Magnus Oyuge 77 gozas. Thank you. 77 gozas. So because it will take a lot of time, and the NOC has already started it on. So we'll make it 3. And as I always say in my class, it's not just ordinary goza, it's a locomotive goza. 1, 2, 3. Woo! Goza! 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 Thank you very much. And I want to thank the first person that came to this auditorium today. You know me, the student, you know me, I'm very particular about attendance and punctuality. But there's not as dead as yesterday's newspaper. So I thank you for coming, sir. There's a gentleman here. Where is he gone? Alaji Gambo? Oh, okay. I salute him. We are colleagues and also a formidable member of the board. The book is a compendium of all you can think about. It's a dictionary of dictionaries. Oyuge has added what I call true purity to the profession. I salute you. The content is also in line, and he enjoys from my review what I call content pluralism. Toludo solution to the matrix. I wonder why they didn't put hemophilobiasis. This was a virus. Bola Hametafin to cure hemophilosis. Maybe that will be added in the next edition. In discussing the leading from the street, I would like to add, it's a book that you must read. It's just anything you want to. If you go to the market, ladies, you can do what? Buy so many things. The historical foundations of Nigeria, what it was, He went to the second level, which I call the sociological foundation. That is to say, what Nigeria should be. And finally, he went on to the philosophical foundation of Nigeria, what he thinks Nigeria should be in the next century. So, and he has provided solutions. Some of the solutions are achievable, some may not be, some may be capable of so many complexities and turbulence. Sometimes we thought that some, but it's a book that you must read and find the solution. I recommend the book to everybody who's willing to know the historical, sociological, and philosophical foundation of the media and its utility setting the agenda for the people. And before I end, I want the audience to understand the work of the journalist. I have provided a theory which I think we should factor in reviewing this book. The work of journalists, I said, it goes beyond the earth. Mr. Matter, I said that how many of you have been to heaven? Nobody. How many of us would like to go to heaven? Almost everybody. Now, the theory is that in heaven, there will not be any need for doctors. I'm sorry if you're a doctor, but nobody will be sick. I said, in heaven, there will not be any need for politicians, whether politics with bitterness or politics without bitterness. I said that in heaven, there will not be any need for lawyers. Sorry, my learned people, but there will not be any litigation. I said, in heaven, there will not be any need for policemen and women, because people will be orderly. I said, in heaven, there will not be any need for customs and exiles, immigration, because there will be free movement from the southern part and northern part of heaven, and people will be able to go, multiple visa and be given to people in heaven. I said, but in heaven, there will be need for journalists, there will be need for communicators. Why? Because the people living in the northern part of heaven would like to know what happens to their counterpart in the southern part of heaven. And so the uniqueness of journalists is to practice not within the earth, but when you get to heaven, you will practice journalism. And thank you for listening, and I thank everybody for taking.
I was on the morning show, and I rushed from the studio to this place. I'd like to start by thanking all of you for attending this event. It gladdens my heart to see that the hall is almost filled up. Oftentimes, you know, when you have an event that requires intellectual, sometimes people are not interested in showing up. And I hope that this will not be like other book presentations, that people will endeavor to get copies of the book and to read the book. I go on to congratulate members of the group who I've known for quite some time. When I was the chairman editorial of the Guardian, I published many of his articles on the pages of the Guardian. I'm sure some of those articles will be in this book. I've also had the privilege of taking a look at the book. It was on the morning show. I think about 2 months ago. At that time, the book had just come out, and they told me that the presentation would be in May. Now, I don't know how he finds the energy, but first, let's talk about his example. This is a man who has been a journalist, he's been in banking, he's been in insurance, but I guess in retirement, well, he's not retired. He has chosen to produce books. The book today is one in a line of bibliography that he has produced. He wrote a book titled Becoming the President of Nigeria, a Citizen Guide. He wrote a book, Beyond Loss and Grief, which tells a sad personal story. And then there was a book on Abakia, the portrait of a patriot. But when that book came out, I was asking him, how did you manage to bring out this book so quickly? And then we are leading the streets, the interventions of the public intellectual, which is a collection of his writings between 1999 and 2019, within a period of 10 years. When he managed to produce up to about 1,000 articles. So I think he needs to be commended for his commitment to public affairs. And out of these 1,000 articles, he has selected only just about 77, divided into 7 chapters, which means that there is more from where this has been produced. Now, I've had the privilege of looking at the book, as I said. When we had the interview session with him, one of the questions I asked him is that, yes, this your book for me strikes me as a little statement about what public intellectuals can do, the intelligentsia. Now, the role of the public intellectual, of course, is to provide ideas, to speak truth to power, to guide the governance process. And I had asked him whether indeed public intellectuals make any significant impact. I asked him, does anybody listen to all those things that we write, all those things that we say? And he gave me examples direct from the book. He believes that some of his interventions influence certain policy decisions. What we would like to see in Nigeria is for a greater accord, relationship, interface between those who govern and those who think for society. Because you cannot have, a successful society if you don't have a quality current of thought. The emphasis is on the quality current of thought, ideas. Ideas build societies. But part of the experience that we have in Nigeria, is that the people on the governance side, they see the intelligentsia as interlopers. They see them as, meddlesome interlopers, noise makers, they call them. They say, we don't need the word. What do they know about governance? That's not what is done in other societies. And that's why the point about leading from the streets is important. It shows that you can either be inside, you can be on the street. Intellectual activism enriches society. And this is a product in that regard. It's very well produced. What I find again unique about the book is the method he has adopted there. The book has already reviewed itself. At the end of every part, 7 parts, you have a prominent person who has reviewed the book, who gives his own opinion. You have Dr. Lisa Bakuba, you have His Excellency Chief Olusegun Oshoba, you have Awar Aspanjani, you have, who else is there? Right Reverend Nicolas Oko, you have Dr. Gumi, Ahmad Gumi, all of them offering their opinions after every chapter, making the book very robust. So it's not just the author talking to us from his collection, it's also having other people's views. And then, of course, it's a tripartite interaction. We also end up having our own views when we read those chapters. What are the issues he has faced? The same eternal issues are the core of the Nigerian national question. Corruption, ethnicity, our relationship with our neighbors, politics, the electoral process. These are the same problems we have been dealing with. We put a date, maybe from 1999, till date. Now, on all of those issues, we're still discussing the same issues today. Giving us the impression, 2 things. One, that Nigeria is a perpetual work in progress. And that on many of the issues, whether it's ethnicity or religion or nationality or elections, we seem not to have moved forward. We're locked in a recursive process in this country, whereby we take one step forward, we take 2 steps forward. So my fear is that many of the topical eternal issues that have been treated by the author in this book, I hope we will not be surprised if in about 10 years' time, we're still talking about the same issues. So the challenge of the various contributions in this book is about how to move Nigeria forward. And who will do it? Many of the suggestions are contained in the book. How to build a nation. Professor Olu many years ago gave a lecture where he asked a question: when is a nation? Is it when you have a flag, you have a national anthem, or you have a geographical space that is, defined by a nomenclature, say Nigeria? And the argument is that we will have a nation when Nigerians have that sense of commitment, not to their village, not to their religious groups, but to that idea of nation. And when Nigerians can say, pro patria emri, that it is fit and great, or want to be able to die for one's country. Not many people want to die for Nigeria. They are all heavy towards the devil. And the ones that are inside Nigeria, they are looking after themselves. This is the problem. In terms of reaction, one of the things I raised with Magnus when he came onto the program, that's the morning show, was his response to me on pages 114 to 116, titled, I think, Jonathan and the Nigerian Youth. When I was a presidential spokesman, I had written a piece titled Jonathan the Unicorn. And in that piece, I was complaining about how this social media activism, all kinds of people abusing the president on the social media. And I said, look, the President Jonathan was the first internet social media president in Nigeria. It was around the time that he emerged president. It coincided with the flowering of the social media phenomenon in Nigeria. So I said, who are these young people who do not have information and who just go, they abuse? Well, that part of my piece has always been quoted here and there, and he took play up. And he said, a presidential spokesman should not speak like this. He even went a step further to say, well, it's because Abati abused Nigerian youth, that's why they started clamoring for change, and they were supporting President Buhari and the APC. Well, against it for politics and for misinformation. Many years after we left government, the same fundamental point that I made in that piece has been a subject of discussion with governments that came after us, saying this social media will need to be regulated. But the point I'm making, however, is that whether it is social media or it is the print or broadcast, journalists, writers, people who buy all these phones from Korea and from wherever, and they acquire power, democratization of the public space. We need to employ and deploy our resources with a sense of responsibility. It's about responsibility. Whether you are a trained journalist or you are somebody doing your journalism, they call it citizen journalism on a phone. We have a responsibility to stay on the path of the truth and to avoid misinformation or disinformation. Because first and foremost, we are all citizens and we must be guided and united by the objective of making this country a much better place for all of us and for moving this country forward. As a major country.
And I'm here because Magnus saw me as somebody who is currently doing what he did 20 years ago. I'm writing articles on power systems to help the cause of the Nigerian power system. My presentation today is from the streets. How will we get the power sector right in Nigeria. Are we on the slide, please? The main concept of today's discussion is on a vision that we are going to share for Nigeria on the issue of the power supply problem that we have. There is a nexus between electricity and economic development. There is no single nation that is industrialized or well developed, for that matter, that does not have reliable and affordable electricity supply. So it goes without reason to state clearly that unless Nigeria has uninterrupted power supply, it will not be able to achieve its great potential. A lot of us here know about the National Electric Power Authority, NEPA. In 1972, 1st of April, April Fool's Day, that's when NEPA came into being. And don't get me wrong, our senior colleagues in the power sector did their best. Excellent. They were trained by British engineers. But after Nigerians waited for power and they didn't see, they changed NEPA. They gave it a backronym called Never Expect Power Always. So that was the beginning. Nigerians felt the dismal performance of the power sector, of NEPA. So in reaction, NEPA tried to fight it, to say, look, we can make a difference, we can change. All this never expect power always, we change. So they thought, let's become a public limited company. So NEPA PLC. Then after Nigerians watched, we didn't get more than 3,500 megawatts that we are getting till today, after 64 years. Nigerians gave another backronym for NEPA PLC, and they said, never expect power at all. Please, light can do. So that was a change of name in reaction to the fact that there's just abysmal amount of power supply. And Nigerians were responding, trying to say, look, our development hinges on reliable power supply. Government then got fed up with the moribund NEPA and says, we are going to unbundle. So this was the first time the lexicon, unbundle, came. And they said, we are going to make them commercial and then privatize later. So government gave the name and changed the name, as if change of name can actually cause power to flow. Sadly, Power Holding Company of Nigeria, after years of non-performance, Nigerians gave another backronym for them. Oh, the problem has just changed name again. PHCN. So from NEPA, NEP PLC, PHCN, we are all aware of the maximum ever for a long time that Nigeria has ever seen in electricity has been 3,500 megawatts. From 1960 up to 2024, 3,500. 1960 was less than 45 million. But consistently, for over 64 years, we have been hovering around 3,500 megawatts. So today, as part of talking from the streets, as part of laying a foundation for the development of this great country, I am speaking on what needs to be done. The very first slide, please kindly go to the beginning. I gave all of that unprepared because the slide didn't come up. So let's go back to the beginning, please. I have a dream. Okay, that's not like Martin Luther King. I have a dream that Nigerian consumers of electricity, you and I, will have 30,000 megawatts of electricity available to us, 30% of which will be from renewables by the year 2030. And that's what I have titled Vision 30-30-30. 30,000 megawatts. So instead of the 3,500 we have today, which we have grid collapse every time, we will have 30,000 megawatts to start with. But 30% of them, of that portfolio, will be from renewable energy systems. So you will talk of mini grids, you will talk of solar, you will talk of wind, you will talk of biomass, landfill, photovoltaics, mini hydro. You will talk of all of those. Waste to power. You will also talk about gas to power, which we have in abundance. Next slide, please. But to do so, to get this unreliable, reliable power supply, we need three things. Somebody spoke about Singapore earlier here from this podium. Lee Kuan Yew saw Singapore in a particular state. And if let's make a change. What are the three things Lee Kuan Yew utilized? Those are the things we need for the power sector. Those are the things we need for any development of an economy. You need meritocracy, number one. Without meritocracy, there will be no power sector. Meritocracy is the first thing to change any economy, to revamp any system. More importantly, for power system, a complex subject, you need meritocracy. The second, pragmatism. Pragmatism. And the third, honesty. So this formula, meritocracy, pragmatism, and honesty, there are three important items of a power system that wants to succeed. Next slide, please. I'd like you to know the scale of problem in Nigeria. I'd like you to look at a small video. Can you play the small video, please? A short video presentation. Okay. All right. So, anyway, I have mentioned the three things that needs to be the hallmark of our development of our sector. So I'm going to mention three things that should be done to ensure we have reliable power supply in Nigeria. Number one, federal government should establish a presidential advisory task force on power, which will then establish a power system architect to look at the complex electricity market that we have ahead of us. So that presidential advisory task force on power will give strategic direction and help to coordinate the development of the power sector. The second one is what I call power for economic purpose. P for P. P for EP. Immediately, within the next 6 to 12 months, the federal government should provide power to the industrial clusters all over the country. By giving power to the agro-island businesses, to the manufacturing sector, to oil and gas businesses, you are suddenly going to re-energize the economy. The third one, the Electricity Act, should be faithfully implemented. We've seen what happened in Aba with Geometry recently, where they built this independent power project. That's what will happen in Enugu, because they have now established their state electricity market. This is what will happen in Ekiti State and Ondo. I know other states are also coming behind. So from the Presidential Task Force on Power to the industrialized, in every state, get the industries, get the industrial clusters and power them. I've done the study, I've done the analysis for the entire nation, but I won't go into that now. I know exactly where these pockets are in every state, and what we are saying is that these people should be given this power first, while they leave the remaining 3,500 for us, so that we don't suffer than we are doing now. The last thing I want to say is that for these three items I've mentioned, the Presidential Task Force on Power,
I know cars, but if I climb the train, it don't pass you. Travel around the world, now I found you. And if I catch the plane, it don't catch you. And I hope you gon' fly away today. I hope you gon' fly away today. But you don't say I fly. So no they detecting me, oh I'm calling. I did try, but you know they getting me to back calling. You go like fly. Allow me to spoil you with my body. You don't cover my head, oh. That you never met a girl, you go I cover. And I will hold you down, no. That you never met a girl, you go I cover. And I'ma hold you down, no. Hold you down with no excuse. Nobody be damn you, but that you never met a girl, you go I cover. And I'ma hold you down, no, down, no. American love. Anywhere you want to go, anywhere you want to go, and I'ma give you some Nigerian love. Carry you go Jalingo. Anywhere you want to go, anywhere you want to go. Hey, travel around the world, I know pass, but if I climb the train, it don't pass you. Travel around the world, now I found you, and if I catch the plane, it don't catch you. And I hope you gon' fly away today.
Of this book. So, can somebody hold? Yes. So, now, usually, so we sort of cut this tape to declare the book open.
Hey, watch yours. Exactly. And I go to all people lunches. I like books. I love the vaccine.
Oh, please can we put our hands together for our special guest of honor who led the lecture room.
You're also a lecturer. Nobody has brought that to fore in laws. And I have a personal story. You never get this kind of occasion much to pay tribute to General Gowon on a very personal story. Whatever I've become today, he has quite a role because I started life as a medical student, which is what my, if you remember now, which is what my parents wanted me to do. And to change their mind, so there was one day in England, I thought of who could convince my late papa. And it was General Gowon who was his boss. So we arranged a meeting. And he spoke to my dad about it. And said, well, let him do what he wants to do. Then again, you're an auditor. You're fine to be a killer. If this boy becomes a Dr. Killer, what do you think will happen? and that has changed the course of my career. Thank you very much. I mean, it hasn't gone badly so far. You remember the story? Conversation is still in economics. And that means we're going to be discussing political economic terms. But because the author of today is a man of many parts, but also a man of communication and media, and because Dr. Rena Bati threw that in about social media regulation, I just started the panel by asking, because this social media thing, you know, is one of the signs of our time. I think if centuries were to be labeled with one symbol, the past 50 years, well, 50 years from now and later on, this whole century, the sign will probably be the internet. That is the most unique thing we brought to fore. And I would like, just very shortly, before we go into the other thing, to hear what the panel think about the idea of regulating the social media. And I'll raise the view, my personal view, that is not necessary. It has a lot of problems it's bringing to us, but you know, the old rule, thou shalt not lie, is enough. There's no need to modify it. If anybody says something false, they're lying. I don't think we need any special thing, because while the social media thing is very, very assailable, it causes a lot of problems, we should be careful not to get into this mania of legislating more and more laws. But that is just me. I leave it to the panel. So let's start with Sam, since it's a media thing. You have the microphone.
Yeah, thank you very much. The issue of social media regulation will continue to be with us so long as we have the people that Shoyinka describes as the rabbits or the scums of the internet. They will continue to be with us. The question is not whether we should regulate it. The question is whether we should prosecute the vermin in the internet. Somebody has started it, and I think we should borrow a leaf from Baba Tunde Raji Fashola, who took one of them to court. And I learned that the person is even between his tail is between his legs now begging. Yes. That is the attitude we should take to it. But my other point about social media regulation has to do with the media establishment itself. I would say that the media establishment has been very timid about handling social media. I wrote an article some time ago saying that it is just a matter of the media establishment coming together and working with law enforcement agencies and making sure that anybody who tries to present themselves or the organizations as news organizations should be put to the test. If an event happens and you report that so person, General Gowon, if you report that General Gowon is dead, and then we'll find out that General Gowon is not dead, we will now isolate your media organization, prosecute that organization, and take it as a collective responsibility. And if we are found guilty, we'll take you through the process of the law. This is the process of self-regulation, of making sure that every organization, they put their feet to the fire. But what has happened is that we have a very indulgent media elite, and also selfish, individualistic, and all locked in their own selves. So what we are having is that we are all sitting down while the whole society is going down in drains. The government cannot do it. The government they want to do it, but they will always come out in this matter as high-handed. I saw one day on social media where somebody put my face that I was sick of a particular ailment, and that they're using my face to come and sell a particular drug, and they sent it all over the internet. Sam, is that you? Did you authorize it? I said, I don't even know about this thing. When did I get sick with this illness that they said that I'm advertising a drug? You know, so things like that happen, and I wanted to do something about it, and somebody said, well, if you want to do something about it, you are going to fight from here till tomorrow, because there is no structure to even fight crime on the internet.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. Regulation and moderation is necessary, but when you belong to a clime like the Nigerian clime, I will still mind my words, where many of our leaders, I will define leaders in the course of this discussion, have been discovered to be morally bankrupt and are suffering from moral insolvency. You have no option than to allow it to come out. That's the way I see it. If you don't do that, I'm telling you, from the way Nigeria is going, you could all see, everybody can see it. Everything about Nigeria has almost rolled to the cliff edge and is collapsing into the valley. So with regulation, if care is not taken, I'm telling you, we will wake up one day and we'll discover that we have become a country of melancholies. As far as I'm concerned, I respect and I appreciate moderation, but looking at our kind of climate, media regulation and control should be checked. Let us always do what is right and not what is good. In Nigeria, I see a lot of things that are good, but they are not right. And anything that is not right, even if you think it's good today, tomorrow you will discover that it is wrong. But whatever is right, even if people don't see the goodness today, they will see the goodness tomorrow and the rightness tomorrow. Thank you.
Dr. Yakubu, go.
All right, thank you very much, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. My position is very clear. I do not support social media regulation, traders. And I'll just give you three simple reasons. The first is the need to preserve the freedom, the fundamental freedoms we enjoy. Experience in this climate, in our country, shows that most things that tend to curtail freedom is abused. At the end of the day, the average citizen is denied the right to freedom of expression and other fundamental freedoms. That's one. Now, two, there are enough laws in place that can curtail the abuses we see in the social media. The only thing is that those laws have not been put to test. If you tell a lie, there are enough laws to punish you. Let's begin to enforce those laws and see how far we can go. Now, three, the entire world is divided into two divides. On one side are those countries that regulate social media, China and a few other countries. Then the greater part of the world, in most liberal democracies, there's no regulation of social media. And if you look at the indicators, you have countries that regulate social media, you cannot say that they have excelled more than the countries that don't regulate social media. So there is no tangential relationship between the countries, between development and those who regulate or do not regulate social media. I think for me, let's begin to preach responsible conduct, responsible use of social media. And it's a matter of time, and I had cited in earlier columns and articles, that in Britain, at some point, people were urinating in every part of the world. They didn't just make law to stop people from urinating. It was moral persuasion, and we began to see changes. Thank you very much. Yes, please.
It's actually just come to our attention that in Canada, the law on hate speech is being moderated, so that if you put up a post, even a past post, something that you posted before and it's deemed to be hate speech, you can be prosecuted for that. Now, of course, it's being presented as though it's a retroactive law. My understanding is that if you are instructed to take down something that is hate speech and you refuse to do so, then you will be guilty of the offense. But I think that we can see from that in some countries, even the liberal democracies, the regulation of social media is on the cards. I happen to think that Nigerian social media is comparatively polite compared to the toxicity that we see in some other countries, and it's because of that toxicity that they feel that they have to regulate it. Of course, now that social media is being used to expose the horrors of the Israeli war on Gaza, suddenly the social media must be regulated and so on. Speaking for myself, there's nothing I put on social media that I can't say to your face. And somebody was recently telling me that, Ma, you should put your biography so that they disrespect and so on. I said, I don't come to Twitter for respect. I come to exchange views and so on. But of course, if all you have is vicious abuse, it says more about you, the vicious abuser, than it says about me. And I think that while, yes, people can be taken to court for telling lies and so on, we shouldn't close our eyes to the fact that some of these lies have traveled around the world 20 times, and they can set our country on fire. We shouldn't delude ourselves about it. I would like it if we could regulate ourselves, but we don't always do that. And we saw, even with this issue of the landmark demolition, that the initial post it wound people up, but in the end, it had come out that actually it wasn't as bad as presented. Because it was a business, it had a business effect, the rebuttal came quickly from the person himself. But in other cases, they can set the place on fire, and that's too bad for the rest of you who are burning.
Thank you very much. And that asked our panelists, and let's discuss it. It's today is the 8th of May, 21 days to 1 year in office. Can we talk of Tinubu economics, or if we're going to talk about it, how will you describe this concept, if such lexicon exists that has been invented? We have to admit it exists now because we have to say it. Bala, you want to start that?
No worries.
You have a microphone.
Yeah, thank you. As far as I'm concerned, the economy is not working. Nigerian economy is not in green. Nigerian economy is not in amber. Nigerian economy is in red. The only thing is, it is not yet in crimson. That is it. I have reasons. I have reasons.
You want the other one? Yes.
In a country where the monthly minimum wage of a citizen cannot buy a 50 kg bag of rice, that economy is in trouble. In a country where the minimum wage of citizens cannot buy a 50-liter diesel jerrycan of diesel, quote me that that country is in trouble. So we are living in a country where the variables are wrong. They are not working. We are on the wrong trajectory. I've analyzed it from an engineering perspective. We are wrong. I analyze it as a chartered accountant. We are wrong. I've analyzed it as a tax practitioner and a chartered tax analyst. Nigeria is on the wrong track. And we are talking about media moderation now. You are seeing a country where strategic industrial sectors are collapsing. Strategic domestic sectors are collapsing. Strategic commercial sectors are collapsing, and somebody will tell me the economy is working. The economy is not working.
Okay.
And we better get it right. You're talking about a country.
No,
you're talking about a country where between 1965 and 1989, the then generation of leaders that we felt were illiterate conceived the idea of having at least 4 refineries. As a practicing petroleum engineer and a gas engineer from 1990 to now 2024, you're talking about 34 good years. The generation of leaders that we have didn't deem it fit to maintain what they inherited. They didn't deem it fit to construct a single refinery. Do you expect anybody to tell you that we are going to run into energy crisis? You don't need anybody to tell you that we're going to run into energy crisis. Look at the institutional investors that are in Nigeria, especially the multinational companies. They are running away from because of business climate hostilities. And somebody will tell me, with my engineering knowledge, with my accounting knowledge, that they are divesting. You can't tell me that. They are not divesting. They are running away because we are experiencing business climate hostilities. It is only in Nigeria that you see people you call leaders, they cannot tell you the difference between commercialization, privatization, liberalization, or even deregulation. This is the country we belong to.
Okay. But
so it's not working.
It's not working.
It's zero.
So for you, it is not working. Let us hear Dr. Peter.
I will keep going forward.
Yes.
I will explain.
Cinemonomics, let's see. How do we describe it?
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if you can hear me. Is it working? Thank you very much. My understanding, first, let me confess that I was conscripted to this panel by Dr. Killer, and truly I was scared. You know he's a killer. If I don't comply, you know what can happen. When a killer invites you and you refuse, you turn it down, he will do what killers do. Okay, that I should collect that microphone.
You want the microphone? Is that one better?
Okay.
But you were saying bad things, maybe.
That's what
All right, so
you were saying bad things about
and if you know Magnus Onyibe, I'm sure you listened to Dr. Ruben Abati and Professor Edosa that he's associated with arresting people. He arrested me. So my understanding is that we should talk about President Tinubu's economic policies, development strategies, and the impact. We cannot, and let me be straight up, and I'll say 2 things. The first is that I am not an economist. My only claim is that I am a street economist. So it's not only Magnus Onyibe that is leading from the street. I am on the street. The second thing I like to confess is that I'm a member of the APC. But for the purposes of this conversation, I practice what is called rational detachment. I'm going to detach myself from APC and look at things objectively. Now, talking about President Tinubu's economic policies, 2 are outstanding or preeminent. Nobody can deny the fact that he is focused on reforms. And 2 are prominent, like I said. The first one is the removal of the fuel subsidy. The second is the floating of the exchange rate, or unification of the exchange rate. Unfortunately, these 2 key policies have produced unintended consequences. And I'm not a specialist in giving bad news. But the truth of the matter, I don't know if you call this bad news, is that the 2 policies have produced negative unintended consequences. And I'll just point to some of the impact of these policies. Reforms typically are supposed to produce better outcomes, improved outcomes that will impact on the lifestyle and the living standard of the people. But in this specific instance, in the current instance, now, unfortunately, we have consequences that are not cheering, that anyone is not excited about. And it's not about intentions. The intentions may be right. Today, we are facing inflationary pressure. At the time the president came to power, inflation, month-to-month inflation, year-to-year inflation is in the neighborhood of 22%. Today, it's 33.2%. Now, food inflation was in the neighborhood of 20-something%. Today is 40%. What it means is that certainly it's going to impact on the living standard of the people, the average Nigerian. Of course, if you look at the other consequences, the issue of foreign exchange. Today, with 30,000 naira, you can buy by far less. And I was arguing, I had a series of engagement with labor leaders when my last column talked about the minimum wage, and I said numbers versus value. And I had a typical argument with labor leaders, and I said, listen, I support a minimum wage increase outright. Clearly, I make that position clear. But let's also begin to emphasize productivity and value, not just numbers. If you increase minimum wage today to 1 million naira, and your 1 million naira cannot buy what 30,000 used to buy, or what 30,000 could buy a few months ago, you've got nothing. And so as we push for minimum wage increase, let's push for two other things. Can government take critical steps to reduce cost of living? And can government take other steps to enhance productivity? Let's our productivity per unit justify the increase in minimum wage. If we don't do that, we'll have cyclic inflation and we'll continue to be on the same spot without making any progress. Meanwhile, we're talking about numbers but not values. So on the Tinubu economics, let me take the word of let me take the word of Magnus Oyibe. You know, he's been credited with the capacity to coin wealth. Who have challenges? That's the truth. The policies are producing unintended consequences. And like I said, it's not about nobility of intentions. Yes. Perhaps the conception, the implementation, or the execution, there's something we're not getting right. We need to review it. It's not enough to buy ideas or pick up ideas, hook, line, and sinker. We should also look at the context. Every policy policy can be efficient dependent on the context. The context might change. If we execute a policy in Singapore and execute the same policy in Nigeria, they are certainly not going to produce the same effect. They're not going to produce the same impact. And so, in summary, because I know that other panelists have contributions to make, my position is that the intentions may be good, but it is not producing desired positive results. Let's review the economic policies and make it fit for purpose. Thank you very much.
Yes. There's no doubt that we're going through hell. I don't know, bring the temperature down a bit because comrade is so heated. And if we have a lot of heat, we also need some light. There's no doubt we're going through hell. But my question is always, because the general saying is that when you're going through hell, keep going. Keep going. But my question always is, are we going through it, or are we going deeper into it? And the story is that we are going through it, that the sunlit uplands are there. And when Magnus invited me onto this panel, I said that for me, I don't know what Tinubunomics is. I can pronounce it, unlike many other people. Yeah?
But you now understand.
I can pronounce Tinubunomics, but I don't know what it is. And I'm not an economist. So I guess that I'm here to be the idiot member of... no, I'm not even a street economist. I'm here to be the idiot member of the public who is at the receiving end of Tinubunomics and any other economic. I'm not sure that actually we've got to a stage where we can call anything Tinubunomics. We're barely a year into experiencing whatever it is that the president is doing, and I don't know whether it will amount to a theory. But I will say this, that there are two things that I want to say, and I'm repeating myself. But we don't want to be trudging through hell and thinking that we're all trudging through it together, and then we see that some other people who have said, okay, you go on ahead, we are following behind you, and then we discover that they actually have a private jet to parachute them out of the hell that we are going through. And that's why, to me, I want to see my leaders suffering with me and giving up something. We're not seeing that. The other thing is that if you're going to throw me out of the window, you have to put a cushion down before you throw me out of the window. Not after you have thrown me out. They say, that cushion, let me come and find it for you. Because I'm already there with my broken bones. And I will tell you this because you can see from this that I participate in the Bring Back Our Girls sit out every Saturday. You just come out of this building, you turn right, go down Kingsway. You meet us every Saturday at Falomon discussing. And many of our members are ordinary people from Nigeria. Some of them sweep the roads in Lagos. And they talk about, and I'm the one that is telling them, have you heard about this palliative? Have you heard about this, the Onje code that the governor is doing for you? Have you heard? And they'll be telling me, the governor said that we street sweepers should each be given 10,000 naira extra per month. And they will be telling me that some of us have not seen it at all. Some of us have had it twice. Some have had it for, but we have not had it for, and he said it was going to happen for. So that, to me, if you are going to put in place palliatives and you don't bother to make sure that those palliatives are hitting the spot that they are intended to, and they're not, I realize that people like me are supposed to suffer. I'm not at the top of the tree by any means, but the palliatives are not for you. But I think that when even the people who are, as I say, sweeping our streets are complaining, they hear about there is a place you can go and you can have a free meal, and nobody knows where these free meals are. Because everything that is sent out as a palliative passes through sticky fingers. And there are too many sticky fingers taking what is supposed to relieve us while we are going through the hell, hopefully through, not into, while we are going through hell, and that's the problem. So for me, it's not a matter of the street or being on it. It's a matter of, if you have a policy and you are not following through on it, then you need to review. I don't want, because in his book, Magnus talked about, he criticized Lai Mohammed for demarketing Nigeria as his first point of call. Yeah. And I don't want to demarket and say, and because I see that people, they wake up every morning, they listen to Ruben Abati's Arise morning show, and they get angry, and then they go out to face their day angry. That's why I wait till the afternoon to listen to it. But I don't want us to be angry and angry for nothing.
Now we know the cause of bad drivers in Lagos.
I want us to feel that there is a solution rather than nothing works. But we need to hear more of it, and rather than the sunlit uplands are there, and eventually, if you survive, you can make it better.
Thank you very much. Sam Abacha, what is Tinubu and is it working?
Well, I never heard the word Tinubunomics until I met Magnus Olivier at a party actually, and he said there was going to be a panel like this on Tinubunomics. Well, once he said that, I wrapped my head around what he was talking about, and it was clear to me that he was trying to find some perspective on Tinubunomics. And for us to understand Tinubunomics, you have to understand Tinubu himself, because that is the name from which the whole idea itself is coming. Who is Tinubu? What is his worldview about economy and so on? Well, Tinubu comes from two backgrounds. One of the backgrounds is that he believes in the laissez-faire economy. And two, he also believes in the grassroots. So if you want to bring the idea of Tinubunomics in perspective, you have to marry both the laissez-faire logic and also the grassroots logic, because from the grassroots you see him as a politician, and then from the from the laissez-faire perspective, you see him as his own way of tackling it and trying to marry the idea of free market with the concept of including the people generally. Now, how do you now marry that with his handling of the national economy? Well, Peter Sai started by saying that he came with the idea of bringing reforms of subsidy and the collapsing of the window. That is true, but in a sense, that is a little simplistic. In the way you handle it. You look at it in the context of what he inherited, what he met on the ground. And the person who explained, who captured the state of the economy when Tinubu became president is no other person than the former CBN governor and now governor of Anambra State, Charles Soludo, who said Tinubu made an economy which was like a dead horse standing. What does that tell you? It tells you that the economy was all but dead. An economy that was owing about 30 trillion naira in debt and had accounts all over the world in multiples of billions of naira, and you translated, that's when you translate them. There are some of them were as much as 500 million pounds. That was the one that we were told. So when you met an economy like that and you want to reform it, it's not going to be an easy path. But first, everybody understood that the subsidy regime was corrupt. Okay, if you leave it the way it was, then you have not started work. So you have to tackle the issue of fuel subsidy, and if you tackle it, it's not going to be painless. You have to handle the issue of the dual window of the currency, because people were round tripping, and we all know what round tripping was. So we met a situation that was actually a mess in 2023. So the important part of Tinubunomics is the audacity to actually confront a situation that is, in fact, was inevitable. The idea of removing subsidy is not original. The issue of collapsing the window is not original, because they are all issues we all agreed on during the presidential campaigns, that they were no longer sustainable. Now, one of the things you do with the removal of fuel subsidy is that you make a lot of money from it and make the money available. Now, what happened was that the state governments have been receiving about double and sometimes more than double of the money that they were receiving before. Why has anybody not asked their state governments, what have you done with this money that you have been given? I know a state that used to receive like 3 billion is receiving upwards of 10 billion a month. They didn't increase salaries. They have not done much in terms of palliatives as a consequence of the increase in the allocations. That was why at one time the president spoke with the governors. He said, spend the money, don't spend the people. He told them that. But we have a system in which we always focus on the center and not on the federation. And yes, we always talk about fiscal federalism and all of that. So we are going through a situation in which the policy reforms are actually inevitable if we're not going to be not just a dead horse standing, but a dead horse buried. So that was the situation.
That's the crimson color.
That whatever the color, whatever the crimson, when the dead horse is buried, it has no color. It has no existence at all. So those are pillars of these reforms that we are going through, and you cannot go through those reforms without pain. So we must understand that the Tinubunomics is not just about that. The Tinubunomics is also about trying to handle power. It's also about trying to make sure we have great infrastructure. A lot of fight is going on over the Lagos-Calabar road, where some people are more interested in whether it comes from Calabar to Lagos instead of Lagos to Calabar, and not whether the road is there and is going on. whether it is politics or 2027 they are interested in, or whether it is ethnic catcalls that they are mounting and so on. You know, the infrastructure is an important part of that vision. Agriculture is also part of that vision. So many acres of land have been in Jigawa, in Kebbi, and so on, have already been dedicated, and farming works are going on. So we have to look at all of that before we understand what Tinubunomics is. It's actually about a politician who is a grassroots man, but who has a laissez-faire perspective to the economic revival of the country.
Thank you very much. Well, allow the teacher in me to recap it this way and say that it seems the panel agrees that the Tinubunomics is a combination of reforms, palliatives, these are kind of key words that define it. We're going to draw a sketch of what Tinubunomics is. It's reforms, it's palliative, it's infrastructure. That is not working. Says Balazaka. Yes, that's the point. So that, no, I'm doing it this way. Let us agree what it is. Because, you know, if you're going to talk about the economy of Reagan, you will know it's less tax, it's privatization. You see what it is. So far, Tinubunomics is reforms, privatization, infrastructure. That is argued that is not working. Some people argue that Bala argues that it's not working because it's the wrong direction. Yes. Totally. Yes. There is one thing I would like to add to the mix when you go through the conversation. My personal opinion, but I feel strongly about it. It is true that some governors are not handing out money. We believe that. And it is true that we need to hold accountable our governors who are in charge of 36 states plus the federal capital. But I argue that it's also true that it's easier for the one person or one office that gives them money to call them to say, what have you done with the money I've given you? Rather than expecting everybody to be talking to them. I think in terms of the resetting that Kumu Peter Side is saying, moving forward is the kind of thing we should be asking the center to do as well. If I give you money, I stand a better chance to say what have you done with the money I've given you than the people who are receiving it or benefiting from it. So we've seen where the, sorry, but please go.
I just want to say that it's not your money.
Yeah.
The money in the federation account is not Tinubu's money.
No, but it's coming from the federal government. That's what
no, it's not coming from the federal government. It's coming from the federation.
From the federation.
And I think that if we keep on giving this out to governors and saying that, because and that was actually the quarrel that Lagos State had with President Obasanjo when he withheld it. It's not your money to withhold. Yeah. You just happen to be the person who can give direct instructions to the one who should be dispersing it. Yeah. But we shouldn't allow ourselves to believe that the money belongs to the federal government and it's magnanimously doing something.
No, I didn't say it was magnanimously given. I was saying that based on the basis of the money that came to the federation account, FAC distributed this money on the basis on a certain on the designated formula to all the states. All the president did was ask them, and has no powers to tell the governor how to spend his money. The president has no power to tell the governor how to spend his money. He only said it as a form of presidential appeal. Said, spend the money, don't spend the people.
Well, the book that has brought us together is called Leading from the Street. So, well, it's not exactly a street, it's a hall. I think it would be a good time to hear some people's comments or questions. Don't speak like you make yours shorter.
Please, yes. And it is not enough for us to make a definitive assessment of the performance of the economy. No. And so we're going to just work with the indicators. And for me, it's important we clear this. So we can't make definitive comments on the state of the economy. This is just the first of 4 years. But the indicators is what we are tackling. The indicators are not looking very good. I don't want to use ballast, red, amber, and crimson. No. Thank you very much.
I think it was suffering. I agree with what Sayo said. The people need to see government people suffering with them. I think that's the real issue. When the people are suffering and giving opportunity, they should see the government also suffering. And finally, if the federal government gives over 50%, so I think the attention of the federal government is broken.
Thank you very much.
Let's take the first item, the issue of social media. I think we are at fault. You know why? When we call them media, the owner of Facebook came to this country some years ago. At that point, we asked him, "Do you practice journalism?" He answered, "Thank you." He said, "No. What do you practice?" Because it's a private platform for people to disseminate information as fast as possible at no cost. The one now is going to put media there. They are not media people. The so-called citizen journalists are not journalists. They have not attended journalism school or have any training whatsoever. What I call them information traffickers. They traffic with falsehood and fake news. So we should not be calling them social media, social platform.
What should we call them, bro?
Information traffickers on social platform. Not social media. Because social media is not all
This trafficking, you make it sound like drug trafficking.
and social disorder.
There was that drug trafficking.
I know.
Information traffickers. And it's challenging for the mainstream media to wake up on the storm and make sure the challenge is in.
But bro, this mainstream media, don't ever.
Sir.
I intend to disagree with you a little bit.
No problem, Prof.
The economy is in red. But thank God it's not in infrared.
No problem.
Yes, it's not infrared, it's still red. And I agree with Sam also. In order to understand Tinubu, we must understand Tinubu himself. And from our perspective, I see the man as a high-risk taker. And you see him as a high-risk taker for the benefit of all. It then means that it's premature for us to judge him. We listen to the submission of two former central banks governors, Soludo and Sanusi. He said the man is very empty. So we should see the robotics to be on the continuum, and it's premature. Let's give him at least 1 year to get us to where we are going. We just brought Bacola, and we brought it right here. How much? 2,000 naira. So that's
Adenuganomics.
So I want us to say that the possibilities should be on the continuum. Thank you very much.
I know that the fact that the country has been a mess, the consensus has been a mess. The problems of this country, they will at the time. And these problems have been there with us for a very long time. We look at issues we have, look at the scarcity and so on and so forth, the early 70s, it's been there. And so we have to begin to ask ourselves, so what is the way forward? This is what is most important. And so we have to revisit, how do we create an incentive system and so on and so forth? How do we create resources? Look, we are discussing this. Look at the controversy, the cost. It is clear to us that what we have today is not working. So it's not working, then something we must do, we must change. We have years that people want to use it and so on and so forth. We cannot try it. So I think that we need to revisit, we need to look at structure and stuff. If we are going to get out of the goods, this is very important. Where we are, we've been there for a long time. And we will not get out of this. We have to build structure. You cannot begin to configure it,
Thank you very much. Prince, yes. I spoke with you earlier on and I said I was going to church. I attend church every Wednesday morning. So I have prayed for you, Magnus. May God continue to help you. We are proud. I know I'm speaking the minds of some of your colleagues. When I saw this, in fact, I invited myself. Well done, Magnus. Now, my pastor says, just give the government one more year. We're praying that things get better than that. But I think just let's say a year, we'll get things sorted out. Well, thank you very much.
And my line of work and the space and the industry that I work, I've had the privilege of experiencing the powerful impact that compliance has in the success of any business or any venture. So, and I've also had the privilege of reading the book, and one thing that struck me as a millennial is that we lack a serious compliance structure in our companies. So I want to put this to the panel, I want to ask the panel what they think about the role of compliance in government and in regards to fostering accountability, so that the people that we put in there, we know that we're acting in our best interest. How can we strengthen our compliance structure and be curious to?
Well, this is a gender balance question.
A month ago, what they call the single window policy. I don't know whether many people follow this, which is supposed to hold all the government institutions, especially with export and import business, through one single window, which will cancel out some of the shenanigans going on in our ports, our borders, and international trade. The long queues on the ICs and the trailers and the bribes and all of that, we suppose in eventually will save the country a lot of money, because one business will go on quickly, which means that you don't have to see a person to get something through, just like they are trying to do now with the passport system. And I think that aspect is one of the fundamental changes that the government is putting in place. In other words, they are going to computerize business rather than make it man-to-man, peer-to-peer, and therefore if you don't bribe you, I cannot get my shipping. If I don't talk to you, my trailer cannot come in, and things like that are going to be out of it. It's something that is actually widespread, which I think that Peter Side can talk to as a former head of NIMASA, and the significance of that policy. Because this is apart from other things that are on, like the student loans, credit system, the CNG buses, and some of those things have to be put in perspective as both a reflection of the nexus between license fare and the grassroots of demand. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. One last word from everybody.
Country that has more than polytechnics, but basic refining of crude oil to get distillate is a problem. That country is in problems. That country is in trouble. Let's define leaders. My definition: leaders are fellow citizens. We're in democracy now. Leaders are fellow citizens that other citizens elected and handed over their economic, political, and social destiny into their custody to manage. Your attention has to be called. What are policies? If you come out with your policies at national level, policies are statements that are supposed to define national philosophies and must be seen to be reflected in the political thinking of leaders. Find out in your country why subsidy is not working. In the context of Nigeria, you have government here, you have citizens here. In between the government and the citizens, you have two S. One is the subsidy and the other one is the saboteurs. Instead of removing the, I don't think say bloody saboteur, you were advised, you had a clue. Subsidy was removed on kerosene. There was no positive effect. Subsidy was removed on diesel and aviation fuel. There was no effect. And you were told that, you said, okay, what if that wound becomes cancerous? What are you going to do? You did it and it is cancerous now. It's not even benign. It's heading towards malignancy. Or what do you want us to tell you?
I have led from the streets. That's going to precede this one, but I just have to read through a bit to explain. Actually, what a lot of people didn't quite understand is Tinubunomics. Tinubunomics is taken from Bidenomics, and it then comes, put forward, working. Yes, they are. So that's why there's also what is working, what's not working, why, and the way forward. But unfortunately, we didn't dwell on this issue in the way we should have done in an organized manner. But the whole issue is that there are certain policies that are working. Certainly, it's clear to everybody that some are working. They are coming with pains, but no pain, no gain. So it's something that we must all recognize. If we stay in our comfort zone, we will not be able to move forward. So certain drastic and surgical issues have to be done to be able to move us forward. I was telling our chairman earlier, John Yakubu, that something I found recently in the social media was as far back at that time, and on the front page of that Daily Times was a whole list of policies and programs that we wanted to implement. If those policies and programs were implemented, Nigeria would be an Eldorado. People should go back and look at it. But shortly after, we are in trouble today. If those programs and policies were there, it was well cataloged. It was just the implementation. I was, happy to hear from him that Nigeria could have implemented gas policy ahead of Russia. Russia piped gas into Europe, and during this Ukraine war, they have decided to close the pipe. Ahead of Russia. Can you beat that? Those were, so we have leaders who had the ideas, and unfortunately, they did not go through the gestation period. So right now, we're going through a similar situation. There are potentials, there are signs showing us that if we go through them, if we, go through this very hard process, pass through this pipeline, there's light at the end of the tunnel. So we just have to brace up for the changes. It's rough and tough, but there's likely going to be less turbulence when things get steady. And it's just, as somebody pointed out, what is going on is not in the best interest of Nigerians. Long run, yes. Short term, it's inflicting pain. But we believe that we're headed somewhere, and we should be hopeful. I just go through the speech, briefly. A warm welcome to all the dignitaries and guests gathered here today. Your presence underscores the significance of this momentous occasion. The launch of Leading from the Streets Media Interventions by a Public Intellectual, 1999 to 2019. As we gather here, it's fitting to reflect on a pivotal moment in American history when John F. Kennedy delivered his iconic inaugural speech. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. These words stirred the American people, igniting the spirit of civic duty and responsibility. Kennedy's call to action transcended his time, inspiring generations to contribute to the greater good. His message resonates deeply, reminding us that leadership isn't confined to the halls of power. It's a mantle we all carry. Today we find ourselves at a similar crossroads in Nigeria. Like the America of Kennedy's era, we face challenges that demand collective action and sacrifice. Yet amidst these challenges lies immense opportunity. Leading from the Streets embodies the ethos of Kennedy's speech, urging us to recognize our inherent leadership and responsibility. It challenges us to reimagine leadership, not as a title, but as a commitment to service and progress. Just as Kennedy called on Americans to serve their country, this book calls on all Nigerians to contribute to our nation's development. It empowers individuals from all walks of life to make a difference, from artisans to professionals, from clergy to coaches. By harnessing the collective power of individual actions, we can effect meaningful change, whether it's supporting local industries, combating corruption, or championing good governance. Each of us has a role to play. Leading from the Street serves as a rallying cry for a new era of leadership, one where the boundaries between leaders and the led blur, and where the pursuit of the common good unites us all. It's a testament to the belief that true progress is not the sole responsibility of those in authority, but the collective effort of every citizen. This work is a chronicle of Nigeria's journey through the lens of its media landscape. Within its pages lie the narrative of our triumphs and tribulations, the echoes of our successes and failures, and the reflections of our collective psyche. From the tumultuous world of politics to the intricate web of banking, this book lays bare the dynamism of Nigerian society. As I reflect on the decades encapsulated within these pages, I am reminded of the resilience of our people, the vibrancy of our culture, and the untapped potentials that lie within our grasp. But alongside these glimmers of hope, there are also stark reminders of the challenges that continue to beset us. Leading from the streets serve not only as a mirror reflecting how far we have come, but also a clarion call for the work that still needs to be done. It is my sincere hope that through the insights shared within this book, we can chart a course towards a more equitable, just, and prosperous Nigeria for generations to come. In essence, Leading from the Streets also eliminates the extraordinary contributions of ordinary Nigerians who led from the grassroots, shaping narratives, policies, and ultimately the course of history without wielding official titles or holding governments accountable. As I said, I'm going to skim through because we're going to be giving awards to 6 Nigerians who have led from the streets in their special ways, and they have been able to make a difference. But we're also, saying that apart from what these people have done, the other people in other sectors of the economy should also do well to contribute in their own little ways so that this country can become a better place for all of us. I feel the pain of Balazaka. It's a voice from the street, but as I said, if you have an injury, let's say you have a broken bone, for instance, if you don't tell the bone healer exactly where it hurts you so that the proper treatment can be applied, the bones will not heal well. So, you bear the pain so that you can get a better healing. As Sam Marshall pointed out, the present government inherited a very bad economy, and they're just trying to patch things up, which is why we're going through these bumps. Hopefully there'll be some cruising in the future. On that note, I'd like to say very thank you to the eminent people who have raised this occasion, especially General Yakubu Gowon, who's like a father to me and have been very supportive. Thank you very much.
I am that one of us is here putting this together. Well, I sent a message to him. Thank you very much, Magnus, for doing this, and you kept at it for a long time. You've not deviated. We're behind you. So I'm here as a friend, as a colleague. We cannot say, how can I put the field? But we are not here. No, I'm saying, on behalf of our colleagues, when I heard that you were MC, I said, beautiful, well done. I have all our friends here. I see why the language you hear. Did I not hear that Ruth is also here in the audience? Okay, Sienna over here.
Inseparable pair.
My reporters have been filling me in, even right from the church, sending me text messages. But let me say this. I'll launch this with 1 million.
Thank you, Bisi. That is really encouraging coming from a fellow colleague. Any more launches? Yes, killer, you must kill. Is your profession?
And I think no amount of money we can give him to the launch will be enough. So let's give a lot of it as much as we can. I will, without asking for the price, pay 10 times what it is, and I'll get 20 copies. Because I'm going to be sharing it, and I want people to get into this habit. I'm going to be sending it to my primary school, to my secondary school, my initiative, and I'm very passionate about it. And the idea is that you give books to libraries that you're interested in, whether your personal library, your old school, your church, any association you belong to. So those things, I'll be taking 20. And I'll pay for it.
Yes. Money. I would say that I don't know what the cost price is. I just say I'll take 100 copies. For you, the cost price is 50. Alhaji Aliko Dangote is here. Not quite, but I hope he has a representative. We have Chief Mike Adiluga. I hope he has a representative. And we have Barrister Alan Onyema, the Air Peace Chairman. I hope he has a representative. William Sobo, is he still here? William, would you like to lead us in the citations? Professor Wole Soyinka is the representative here, please. Please give her put your hands together for the representative of Professor Wole Soyinka, who is going to receive the award on his behalf. The Nigerian Civil War that raged from 1967 to 1970, claiming an estimated 1 million Nigerian lives, he penned an article during the opposing factions to refrain from the conflict. However, his play went unheeded, instead meant Biafra. While federal troops and Biafran army aimed their weapons at each other, Professor Soyinka languished in jail. By the time the gunfire ceased, Nigeria had lost over 1 million lives and endured extensive infrastructure damage, particularly in the southeastern region, from which he has yet to fully recover. So the calamity which the playwright sought to prevent through his writing and publishing efforts education. Professor Soyinka could have capitalized on his post-war popularity to venture into politics, akin to his fellow educator Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, who served as president of Tanzania from 1964 to 1985, starting his career as a teacher and activist. However, he opted against this path to leadership, steadfastly maintaining his role as a street-level advocate. In his indomitable spirit of wielding the pen as a weapon, Professor Soyinka has continued to inspire the new generation. For this reason, he deserves recognition as a paragon of leading from the streets, hence the honor of this award. The award for Professor Soyinka will be taken by Ayola Motola. Please could you go to...
getting such honorable awards. He was the first to get the award, and now this is another award, and I'm sure he's gotten quite a lot. I was looking forward to seeing him there, so that we can continue our relationship. As you know, he was my special guest for many years. But I can show you, we've ended up as bosom friends, and person that one respected. Well, he's done well, and certainly he's been doing it from the street. He's certainly done very well. All his, well, I always say something about him. I say he pepper we with his words and also his pen. Now I said that to when we met after so many years in Abuja, and he has his children there with him, and the 2 children, a boy and a girl. And of course we embraced, we shook hands, and we embraced each other so warmly, and these young children were watching. And so I said to them, yes, this one, he pepper we with his words, and pen, and my goodness, but that was that respect. One thing that really made me cheerful was that the little girl, the way she really gone with laughter what I said about his her father or her uncle.
Hello and welcome to Biscon TV News. I am Jones Hussein. First, the headline stories. Federal government taps ex-Attorney General of the Federation, 11 senior advocates for Supreme Court battle over Rivers emergency rule. Unified Tertiary Matriculation Exam candidates, that's UTME candidates to sue JAM over mass failure and technical glitches. In business, Dangote Refinery refutes capacity criticism by marketers. In foreign news, UK Union slam ban on foreign care worker recruitment. And in sports, Remo thrash Ikorodu 4-1 to mark NPFL coronation. And now the news in detail. The federal government has assembled a legal team led by former Attorney General of the Federation, Chief Akin Jimmy, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and 10 other senior advocates to defend the constitutionality of the state of emergency declared in Rivers State. President Bola Tinubu had on March 18, 2025, suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, and the entire House of Assembly, appointing a sole administrator to oversee the state for 6 months. The National Assembly ratified this move via a voice vote. In response, 11 PDP governors sued the Attorney General and National Assembly at the Supreme Court, challenging the legality of replacing elected officials with unelected appointees under the guise of emergency powers. The plaintiffs include states like Delta, Oyo, and Bayelsa, and are demanding the Apex Court clarify whether such actions were constitutional. They argue that the President's proclamation and its approval by voice vote violated federalism and the 1999 Constitution as amended. To this now. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been honored with the prestigious Lifetime African Achievement Award by Ghana's Millennium Excellence Foundation. Represented by Ambassador Bianca Odimegu Ojukwu, the President received the accolade during the Foundation's 25th anniversary celebration at Kumasi. Tinubu praised the Foundation's values of integrity and excellence and encouraged African youths to drive development across key sectors like technology, education, and governance. He commended the Foundation for celebrating African icons such as Archbishop Desmond Tutu and Wole Soyinka, and urged continued investment in youth empowerment. The event also honored notable personalities including Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umoino, Afrexim Bank Chairman Dr. Benedict Orama, and BUA Group's Abdul Samad Rabiu for their contributions to governance and business on the continent. Hear this one. Thousands of 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Exam candidates, UTME, are preparing a lawsuit against the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAM, following widespread reports of technical glitches and incomplete questions during the exams. Education advocate Alex Onyea, Chief Executive Officer of Educare, revealed that over 8,000 students had formally lodged complaints and would approach the Federal High Court for redress. Candidates are demanding transparency, including access to mark sheets and the ability to verify or dispute their scores. The controversy follows JAM's release of results showing that over 1.5 million out of 1.9 million candidates scored below 200 marks, while the Education Minister linked the outcome to successful anti-malpractice efforts. Affected students and parents are demanding accountability. Many candidates have testified to issues like missing questions, with some claiming drastic score drops compared to previous years, raising alarms about fairness and student well-being. We'll go on a break now and return with business news. Welcome back. In business, we can tell you that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery has pushed back against claims by oil marketers that it cannot meet Nigeria's fuel demand. Despite the 650,000 barrel per day capacity, the Depot and Petroleum Products Marketers Association of Nigeria, DAPMAN, alleged that the refinery was not supplying enough, leaving private depots to bear the burden. DAPMAN accused Dangote of trying to monopolize the downstream sector by slashing prices post-cargo dispatch. In contrast, Dangote officials insist they produce enough fuel for local consumption and for export. They argue that Nigeria's consumption figures have long been inflated and manipulated during the subsidy era, and that current output exceeds true demand. The officials also backed President Tinubu's import ban on locally available goods, warning of efforts by vested interests to undermine the Nigeria First economic policy. Another break now, and then we'll return with foreign news. Welcome back. In foreign news, we can tell you that labor unions and care sector leaders in the UK have condemned the government's proposed immigration policy that would ban the recruitment of foreign care workers. Critics say the policy, part of a new immigration white paper aimed at reducing legal migration, could cripple an already overstretched and underfunded care system. Unions argue that migrant workers were vital to the sector's survival, with over 58,000 recruited in 2023 alone. Care England CEO Professor Martin Green and Unison Secretary Christina McCarney both slammed the move, warning it would worsen existing staff shortages. They also criticized the government for labeling care jobs low-skilled and failing to support the workforce with better pay and recognition. Meanwhile, the UK government maintains that the policy is part of a broader effort to invest in domestic labor and reduce dependence on immigration. And lastly, entertainment news.
And welcome to sports segment on Biscon TV News. Remo Stars have been crowned champions of the 2024-25 Nigerian Premier Football League after the 4-1 win over Ikorodu City in a matchday 37 game on Sunday in Ikenne. The Sky Blue Stars came from a goal down to trash their Southwest rivals and also dent their hopes of picking a continental ticket in their debut NPFL campaign. Already confirmed as champions 2 weeks ago, Remo Stars marched into the field for their coronation day with a guard of honor from their visitors. Inside an electrifying stadium filled with thousands of supporters who came to witness their historic day. Also among the spectators was the governor of Ogun State, Dapo Abiodun, who joined the president of the Nigerian Football Federation, Ibrahim Gusso, MPFL chairman Benga Elegbeleye, and other league officials. Finally on sports, Paris Saint-Germain forward Ousmane Dembele was named the Ligue 1 Player of the Year on Sunday. After leading the club to a 13th French league title At the Champions League final, Dembele is the top scorer in League One this season with 21 goals and has struck 33 times in 46 matches across all competitions, including 8 goals in Europe. He succeeds Kylian Mbappe, who won the prize 5 times in a row before departing for Real Madrid at the end of last season. Luis Enrique earned Coach of the Year honors at the UNFP Trophies Gala, while Desire Dale took home the prize for the best young player in Ligue 1. PSG are on course for a treble after easing to an 11th Ligue 1 title in 13 years. They will play Inter Milan in the Champions League final on May 31st, a week after facing Reims in the French Cup showpiece. That's all on sports.
Welcome back. In entertainment, Grammy-winning Nigerian singer Tems has called on the global community to look beyond stereotypes and explore the richness of African culture, particularly in countries like Nigeria and Ghana. Speaking during a brief red carpet interview at the 2025 Met Gala, Tems encouraged critics and curious minds alike to visit African nations and witness the beauty and creativity that define daily life across the continent. She emphasized that the true African experience can only be understood by seeing and feeling it firsthand. Tems highlighted the vibrancy of African life through its traditions, music, fashion, and resilient spirit. She pointed out that Africa's allure isn't just in tourist attractions, but in the way its people express themselves, through song, style, and culture. Beyond Afrobeat, she noted that African music spanned a range of genres, including Amapiano, Afro-soul, Afro-jazz, and R&B genres until underexplored by global audiences. According to her, Africa's creative potential was vast and continues to evolve, offering the world much more than it often expects. That would be all on Biscon TV News for now, compiled and produced by Favor Ajagbe. I am Jones Hussein. Many thanks for watching.
Getting such honorable awards. He was the first to get the award, and now this is another award, and I'm sure he's gotten quite a lot. I was looking forward to seeing him there, so that we can continue our relationship. As you know, he was my special guest for many years. But I can show you, we've ended up as bosom friends and passing that one perspective. Well, he's done well. And certainly he's been doing it from the street. He's certainly done very well. All his, well, I always say something about him. I say he pepper we with his words and also his pen. Now I said that to when we met after so many years in Abuja at his, and he has his children there with him, and the 2 children, a boy and a girl. And of course we embraced, we shook hands and we embraced each other so warmly, and these young children were watching. And so I said to them, yes, this one, he pepper we with his words, and pen, and my goodness, but that was that respect. One thing that really made me cheerful was that the little girl, the way she really roared with laughter what I said about his, her father or her uncle. I said that I'm sure that little girl must have had a bit of his words too, his pepper from his words. That's why she was reeling with that laughter. But he's a great man in every word. No matter what happened between us. Well done. So, I'll keep this. This way. The only thing is that we should have that shoot.
Thank you, sir.
She was sitting with us when we had the conversation about his meeting with the general. He was really looking forward to it. And when he told me that he had an ask to grind with the general, I said to him, has that not been resolved? He said no, that the general made a statement during a World Foundation event that he didn't give me the credit. And when I reported back to Prof, he was very excited after I talked to the general. So we're looking forward to all of this. And the young man, Biscon, who was here earlier, who had written a letter to the general with respect to young man at that time. He was 17, yes. He was 17 at that time, but he's 74 now. Was here to also be engaged in this historic meeting between the professor and the general and himself. It's Auntie Julie Coker here that actually brought that to my notice, and we had to invite RA. So, but unfortunately, RA is not here now. Also, I just noticed that the citation for the various individuals are quite long, and we don't want the general to be sitting for too long. So, some of the people who are going to receive the awards are already very well known. So, we're just going to skip through all that as well. Just mention them so that they can receive the award. Some of the people who came to receive the award on behalf of their bosses have left. There's Tony, who was to receive on behalf of Falaji Dangote. There's somebody else here who's here for the rest of them. So I hope they are here. Abubakar Dangiwa couldn't come. He's in Kaduna, and he said to me that the flights are not landing in Kaduna right now because of safety issues. And it was very dangerous for him to drive between Kaduna and Abuja to catch a flight to come. So he couldn't come. He really wanted to come because he wrote a forward. So unfortunately, he's not here. He'll be, his award will be received on his behalf. So I've just requested that Patrick should skim through this thing so that we can leave here. We've been here for quite some time. Thank you very much.
So now I wish I knew what to skip through, because now we don't know if the representative of Alhaji Dambi is not here. Okay, what about the representative of Chief Mike Adenuga? Not here either. What about the representative of Barrister Alan Onyama of Air Peace? I think we shall have to get these awards to them. Then the other ones here. Representative of Dr. Lisa Bakova. Is the person here? Representative of Abubakar Dangiwa, we've already sent that. I think that's about all. I think we'll find a way to get the awards to them. Please let's put our hands together for all the award winners, and the hope those of us clapping want to get these awards ourselves for.
And the success today, all glory to him. On behalf of Inspire Media Services Limited, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for your presence at this remarkable occasion of the public presentation of the book, Leading from the Streets, Media Intervention by a Public Intellectual, 1999 to 2019. Today, we have witnessed the culmination of hard work, dedication, and creativity by my husband, Mr. Magnus Onyibe, in his latest book, Leading from the Streets. At about this time in the year 2022, precisely on May the 10th, I had the privilege of giving the vote of thanks during the launch of his then latest book, Becoming President of Nigeria, A Citizen's Guide, at the Yaradua Center, Abuja. In that book, he predicted on page 331 to 332 that the contest for the presidency of Nigeria in 2023 would be between incumbent President, His Excellency Bola Tinubu, and the former Vice President, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar. The article, How to Become President of Nigeria 2023, that was reproduced in the book was published in the mass media on September 15, 2021. That was long before the party primaries where both candidates were nominated by their respective parties. It was at the time when the incumbent president appeared not to have any chance because the presidency was likely not to be zoned to the southwestern part of Nigeria. So I was pleasantly surprised when my husband's prediction about the likely outcome of the presidential contest came to pass. Having said that, we would like to express our deepest appreciation to the author, Mr. Magnus Onyibe, for sharing his writing talent with the world. His words in this book have certainly enlightened me, and I believe it must have inspired a lot of us here present. We are honored to be part of this journey of new discovery and renewed hope of the wonderful citizens of our great country, Nigeria. We say a special thank you to the chairman of the occasion, the father of the nation, who also wrote the foreword to the book, the former head of state of Nigeria, General Yakubu Gowon, GCFR. We also say a big thank you to His Excellency, Chief James Onanifeo Ibori, His Excellency Donald Duke, Mr. Henry Meseka, and all our distinguished guests. We sincerely thank all the contributors for their insightful and thought-provoking speeches that have added depth to the book and this event. The presence of you all has truly enriched the experience for all of us, and all those of you participating online in your respective offices or homes via Zoom and the live telecast of the event by AIT. We thank you for engaging with us online. Without you all, this event would not have been possible. Your belief in the power of communication and intellectualism is truly commendable. Last but not the least, a big thank you to our event organizers, especially Ms. Precious of Alliance Francaise / Mike Adenuga Center, volunteers and staff of Inspire Group for their hard work and dedication in making this event a success. Your tireless efforts have not gone unnoticed, and we are grateful for everything you have done to make this occasion a memorable one. As we conclude this wonderful event, let us take from here the spirit of creativity, knowledge, and community. May Leading from the Streets continue to inspire and resonate with readers around the world. And may we all continue to lead in our little ways, in our little spaces for the greater good of all. Thank you once again for being part of this special occasion. We wish you all journey mercies to your various destinations.
The final countdown begins. Just 3 days to the grand celebration of Prince Biscon at 50 and BOS at 25. The stage is set, the drums are rolling, and the spotlight is shifting to Lagos as Nigeria prepares a landmark celebration like no other. Just 3 days to go until Prince Biscon 50th anniversary as a broadcaster and the 25th anniversary of the Biscon Show, BOS, a cultural powerhouse and multilingual media phenomenon that has redefined event broadcasting in Nigeria and beyond. On Tuesday, May 13th, 2025, all roads will lead to Muson Center, Onikon, Lagos, for this once-in-a-generation event where legends, royalty, statesmen, captains of industry, and leading media voices will converge to honor a man whose voice has shaped the nation's airwaves for 5 decades. The highlights await. Keynote reflections. Former Governor of Cross River State, Mr. Donald Duke, CON, will set the tone for the celebration with an insightful keynote address on the evolution and power of the Biscon Show. Media and New Generation Panel. A powerful panel discussion themed The New Media and the Future of Broadcasting will bring together dynamic Gen Z and millennial voices to chart a course for tomorrow's media in the spirit of BOS's visionary legacy. Unveiling of the Biscon Foundation, BOF. A major highlight of the day will be the official launch of the Biscon Foundation, an initiative dedicated to empowering young talents, promoting education, and advancing media excellence. The foundation will be launched by Chief Launcher and Benefactor, Sir Kesentin Adebutu, CFR, a pillar of support to Prince Biscon inspiring journey. The prestigious BOS Awards ceremony. The crowning moment of the day will be the Grand BOS Awards, recognizing excellence in leadership, business, media, and public service. Topping the list of honorees are President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and Senator Oluremi Tinubu, CON, First Lady of Nigeria, to be decorated with the Grand BOS Awards for exemplary national service. Governors of Lagos, Bayelsa, Enugu, Ekiti, Delta, Kano, and Akwa Ibom states for transformational leadership. Titans of industry, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, GCON, and Alhaji Dr. Abdusamad Rabiu, recipients of the BOS Mega Awards. Dame Dr. Adora Umoji, OON, GMD and CEO of Zenith Bank, BOS Banker of the Year, and Wema Bank PLC, celebrating 80 years, BOS Bank of the Year. Outstanding entrepreneurs like Barrister Uju Ifejika, OFR, Dr. Mrs. Nike Akonde, CON, Alhaji Razak Okoya, CON, and Prince Samuel Adedoyin will receive the BOS Entrepreneur and All-Time Supporters Awards. Saluting media icons. The BOS Awards will also pay tribute to trailblazing figures in Nigeria's media industry. Senator Ben Murray Bruce, Silverbird TV, Dr. John Momo, OON, Channels TV, Prince Nduka Obaigbena, CON, Arise News, High Chief Raymond Dokwesi, founder of Dar Communications, AIT and Ray Power, will be posthumously honored as the pathfinder of private broadcasting in Nigeria. Distinguished guests of honor expected at the elite gathering are Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, former President of Nigeria and special guest of honor. Sir Kesentin Adebutu, CFR, Chief Launcher and Benefactor of the Biscon Foundation. Senator Major General Ike Nwachukwu, retired, Chairman of the day. The ceremony will be steeped in royal grandeur with the presence of His Royal Majesty Obadeyeye Enitan Ogunwusi, CFR, Ojaja II, the Oni of Ife. His Royal Highness Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero, Emir of Kano, serving as the Royal Fathers of the day. His Royal Majesty Oba Adedapo Adewale Tejosho, CON, Karunwi III, Oshile of Okeono, Egbaland, and His Royal Majesty Oba Adedotun Aremu Gbadebo, CFR, the Alake and Paramount Ruler of Egbaland. With the countdown officially on, excitement is at fever pitch. The journey of a man, the evolution of a show, and the power of a legacy. Prince Biscon at 50 and BOS at 25 promises to be a celebration of excellence, impact, and enduring influence. May 13th, 2025 at the Shell Hall of Muson Center, Onikon, Lagos. Save the date. Be there. Witness history. Tuesday, 13th May 2025. The date for High Prince Biscon, Nigeria's multilingual broadcasting doyen's Jubilee Anniversary celebration in broadcasting and 25 years of the Biscon Show, BOS. The event begins on a prayerful note by UK-based founder of Kingdom Power Ministries, Apostle Boyega Shita, and ministration by Apostle Dr. Joseph Wole Oladinu. The chairman of the event is Major General Ikenwachuku, retired. The guest of honor is Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, and the chief launcher of the Biscon Foundation, BOF, is Sir Kensington Adebutu, CFR. The royal father of the day, His Imperial Majesty, Oba Dr. Babatunde Eniton Ogunwusi, CFR, or Jaja II, the Oni of Ife, and His Royal Highness Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero, the esteemed Emir of Kano. Mr. Donald Duke, CON. The highlight of the event will be the presentation of the prestigious Grand BOS Awards to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and Senator Oluremi Tinubu, CON. BOS Awards will also be presented to the governors of Lagos, Bayelsa, Enugu, Ekiti, Delta, Kano, and Akwa Ibom State. Also on the BOS Mega Award list are Alhaji Aliko Dangote, GCON, and Alhaji Dr. Abdusamad Rabiu of Bua Group. BOS Awards will also be presented to the following industry players: Mr. Tony Elumelu, CFR, FCT Minister, Barrister Chief Nyesom Wike, Imo State Governor, Senator Hope Uzodinma, and Managing Director and CEO of NDDC, Dr. Samuel Ogbuku. BOS Banker of the Year Award goes to Dame Dr. Adora Umoji, OON. The Bank of the Year is Wema Bank PLC. BOS Entrepreneur of the Year is Barrister Mrs. Uju Ifejika, OFR. Dr. Mrs. Nikki Akonde, CON, Alhaji Razak Okoya, CON, and Prince Samuel Adedoyin will bag BOS All-Time Supporters Awards. BOS Awards to Outstanding Players in Nigeria's media industry will be bagged by Senator Ben Murray Bruce of Silverbird Television, Dr. John Momo, OON, and Prince Nduka Obaigbena, CON. We see, owners of AIT and Ray Power, the pathfinder of private radio and television broadcasting in Nigeria. The award will be given to him posthumously. Tuesday, 13th May 2025. Prince Biscon double-header event at Muson Center, Lagos at 11 a.m.
Adama